They're here.
So yeah, at first, I just didn't know what to do.
At first, Daddy was confused.
I didn't know it was going to affect people in Nassau and Freeport.
And then I told him it was just the first 3 numbers.
Our new phone numbers have arrived, but there is no need to be afraid. Only the first 3 numbers have changed. The new numbers are in effect now.
The PLP celebrates the 1-year anniversary of its victory. We asked the party leader how he feels about his administration's performance.
We know there is still a lot to do.
The government says the leaked gaming document is not the real bill.
And it's a draft.
A preview of this year's hurricane season, plus a new School of Music awards Bahamian artists.
I want the kids to know who these people are.
I'm Nakia DeVoe, and this is NB12 Weekend. Everyone, thanks for joining us this Sunday for NB12 Weekend. The Progressive Liberal Party swept into victory at the polls on May 7, 2012. Nearly 1 year later, the Prime Minister is reflecting on how much of the Charter for Governance has been put into action and how much more work his government still has to accomplish 1 year into this new term. Christina McNeil has more in this report.
Prime Minister Perry Christie and the Progressive Liberal Party today celebrating 1 year of their general election win just days before the actual anniversary. The Prime Minister also reflecting on some of his accomplishments and challenges so far this term.
It's been an interesting year so far, according to the Prime Minister, who spoke exclusively to NB12 following the PLP victory service today. During his address to the congregation of Faith United Missionary Baptist Church and his fellow PLP parliamentarians, Christie reminded them of the party's Charter for Governance, which helped secure the general election win. Crime and job creation were fundamental components in that plan. The Prime Minister says he is happy with what has been achieved so far, but he notes it will take at least 5 years to set the country back on the right track.
With respect to, firstly, crime, unemployment, we are very aggressively addressing them. We've indicated we've seen improvements in both areas. Statistics shows improvement in both areas. We know there is still a lot to do, so we are doubling up on our effort with respect to both crime and unemployment. I'm happy at what I have accomplished with respect to those matters. So even though I'm able to say there are things unseen, decisions we have made with respect to approving projects that will be implemented during the course of this year and next year, people can't see it, and so therefore their disappointment is unaddressed. That's how it is with governance. It takes some time for policies and execution of those policies to set in.
The Prime Minister says jobs are on the way for people on Bimini, Eleuthera, Exuma, and Grand Bahama, but addressing unemployment takes time.
We know that unemployment takes a little time to address, and that it has nothing to do with any pronouncement about the creation of 10,000 jobs. In our first term, we created 20,000 jobs. We believe we're going to do the same thing in this term, and many people haven't seen it or felt it yet, but we know during the course of this year it will continue to manifest itself in the form of construction, building new buildings. It will manifest in terms of more people going to work.
But he says the first year has not been without its disappointments. The government's mortgage relief plan is one of them.
And the mortgage assistance, we took 2 approaches to trying to help homeowners. One, we have a bill before Parliament, which is to do with assisting people who have mortgages. That's before Parliament. And then we had a mortgage assistance program where only last week Minister Halkitis was bringing to my attention those persons who qualify now for assistance. So it's been slow, but it is happening.
Christie says whatever levels of disappointment people are experiencing, government is seeking to implement policies that will have an impact in the medium term. As the party moves forward from the one-year anniversary, Christie added that while there will always be people who question his leadership, the party must not be its own worst enemy as it moves toward a transition to new leadership. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
Minister responsible for gaming, Obi Wilshcombe, says the gaming bill that will be tabled in Parliament in the near future will most likely be different from the recently leaked proposed Gaming Act. Wilshcombe says it's almost laughable that such a fuss was made over a leaked document.
And it's a draft. So if you're looking at a draft document, it's not the document. What should have been argued was these were the positions presented by the industry for consideration.
According to the proposed Gaming Act leaked last month, local casino operators would be allowed to facilitate online and mobile gaming. It would also provide for placement of bets or wagers on a gambling game using any communications technology. Such a license would only be issued to the holder of a gaming license and only in respect to the casino resort managed by it. The bill also provides for the issuance of junket operator licenses. But Wilshcombe said the government hasn't made any final decisions yet and is currently reviewing the draft.
We have our Attorney General looking at it. We have the foreign investors looking at it. We have the consultants looking at it. The government is looking at it. Others are looking at it. At the end of the day, we'll put on the table the document which we believe is the right document for the right time for our Bahamas.
Bahamian citizens have expressed outrage over the proposed bill, which they claim discriminates against Bahamians in their own country. But Wilshcombe said even if the government makes changes to the bill, it would still be illegal for Bahamian citizens to gamble in casinos. He said that debate will go to referendum in the future.
Again, that was not a part of the discussion as far as we were concerned. It's not a part of the discussion. The discussion at the moment is to lift the gaming industry as it exists today. The present gaming industry. There have been other things proposed by others, but that's not a part of our discussion. Certainly not a part of my discussion at this point. My discussion right now is all intended to lift the gaming industry to be competitive in the world, to help our tourism industry continue to grow.
Wilshcombe last week encouraged Bahamians to pool their resources and apply for casino licenses after local web shop owners expressed their disappointment that casino operators will benefit from the new law while they fight an ongoing legal battle to keep from going out of business. Days later, chartered accountant Philip Galanis revealed that a group of Bahamian businessmen is in the process of applying for a casino license. Wilshcombe said it is long overdue.
They should own a license. Once they've been able to do that, then you seek a management team to run your casino, as most of these companies do in any event. So it's just about advancing business, and certainly I support that. I've been arguing that for many years.
Well, one pastor who was in the hot seat for supporting the legalization of web shops is expressing his concern over the flip-flopping on the issue of gambling by leaders of various sectors of society. Reverend Philip McPhee of Mount Calvary Baptist Church said it seems that some Bahamians are changing their positions when it is convenient for them. Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis was recently criticized for double-talking on gambling. In August, Minnis said he had nothing against Bahamians gambling. Months later, he urged people to vote no on both referendum questions. Just last week, he said Bahamians should be allowed to gamble in casinos. McPhee said some church leaders have also expressed their disappointment that web shop employees may be laid off.
The duplicity, hypocritical involvement of both politicians and preachers, community involvement, we're concerned about that. 3 months ago, I spoke about the danger of layoffs for people who are employed. Not much attention was placed to it. All of a sudden now we talk about equality, equity among citizens and all of that. We've been preaching that from day one, but nobody listened. All of a sudden it's become the most important issue around.
Reverend McPhee also called the proposed Gaming Act a shame and a disgrace. Last year, he pushed for the passing of the referendum on web shop gaming and the establishment of a national lottery. The majority of Bahamians voted no in the January 28th gambling referendum. Voter turnout was less than 50%. McPhee said he's disappointed that Bahamians now want to cry out when they had an opportunity to make a difference.
the referendum was a door of opening to help the Bahamas in a holistic way. But they could not see that. Now we're looking at something that has a serious regression in our country. The country needs financial support. Dilemma that we're in now is going to place us backward more than forward. And now we're trying to say, let's fix it now. It could have been fixed a couple of months ago.
McPhee also insists that the government not consider the new legislation, especially while attorneys are still making a case before the Court of Appeal on behalf of web shop owners. Well, in other news, the Bahamas could be in for an above-average hurricane season this year, as meteorologists at Colorado State University have predicted an active season. Local hurricane expert and meteorologist Wayne Neely says last year there were 19 named storms, 9 hurricanes, and 4 major hurricanes. He says 2013 may be a similar year.
For 18 named storms, 9 hurricanes, and 4 major hurricanes. The average is 11 named storms, 6 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes, so they're going for significantly above average here. And they attribute that to 2 factors. First, they attribute it to a neutral El Nino pattern that's going to persist over the North Atlantic, and they also attribute it for the warmer sea surface temperatures this year. The warmer sea surface temperature in the Eastern Atlantic, and that's the area where the hurricanes tend to form near the Cape Verde Islands. So right now the climatology seems to suggest that it's slightly above average this year. But we were lucky this last year in the sense that most of the hurricanes stayed offshore. Most of the hurricanes tended to stay in the North Atlantic rather than, we had Sandy. Sandy is one of the few exceptions that actually hit land area last year. So
hurricane season begins June 1st and runs to November 30th. While we are still weeks out from the start of the season, Neely says it is never too early to begin preparing, as hurricanes do sometimes strike as early as May.
The majority of hurricanes tend to form in late August and early September, and that's the time when the peak of the hurricane season. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we won't have any early storms. Last year we had a storm in May, but this year there's a possibility of getting a storm, an early storm. So you must be on guard from June through November for the hurricane season. I do advise everyone to take out insurance, because when it comes to with the government won't be able to help everybody. You also right now, things you should be checking for, like the roof, make sure your roofs are up to par, make sure your windows and door are pretty good, and these are things that you can do before the hurricane season starts.
Some islands are still recovering and preparing infrastructure left in the wake of Hurricane Sandy, which hit October 2012. Coming up on NB12 Weekend, a local pilot hopeful about an upcoming audit by international aviation officials.
In the Bahamas, we do not have adequate regulation and law to support aerodrome certification.
Plus, the Minister of Transport and Aviation talks about the improvements being made to the aviation sector. We'll be back with those stories and more after this break.